Hello, everybody, and welcome to South of King's Landing and Explosion Network's Game of Thrones Aftershow. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me is Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about this episode, which is inspired by the 2018 Netflix film Bird Box.
It's called A Long Night, isn't it? It's not, or is it A Long Dark Night?
In Bird Box, you can't see anything. They can't see anything.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, I get it.
They wear blindfolds all the time.
I get it. We're already into the those jokes. Cool. The episode is episode 3, A Long Night or A Long Dark Night. I actually forgot the right title down because I figured I'd remember it and then forgot to. Directed by Miguel. I can never say his name. Safashik. I'm not 100% sure. The person who directed The Battle of the Bastards and those episodes.
Yep.
Written by David Benioff and D.B. Wise. So the head honchos got behind the writer's block for this here episode. And it is the mid-season point. It is the battle for Winterfell. It is the battle of all battles. It is the final battle against...
The Great War.
The Great War, the Great Battle, the battle everyone's been waiting for. So yeah, this week we saw the battle of all battles for Winterfell as everyone made their final stand against the Night King and his army of the dead. We all thought everything was lost, but then Arya, of course, comes through to save the day. But we still end the episode mourning the few people that we lost. So before we dive into everything, as always, Ash, what are your overall thoughts on this week's episode?
I enjoyed it. Obviously, there were some issues, technical issues.
Let's put...
We won't get into that.
If possible... Yeah. And if the issues were so big to you that they are part of your feelings, then sure, go for it. But if in your mind you can kind of just like separate them, then go for that, because then we can discuss the darkness stuff after your general thoughts on the episode itself, I suppose.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty solid overall. It's hard because I think we built it up a lot, or people built it up a lot as going to be this epic thing, but they've kind of forgot what Game of Thrones is like. It was very much a Game of Thrones battle. So for 90 minutes, there were some great moments, some key deaths, and then Arya pulled out the big MVP play.
MVP play.
Play of the game.
For sure. Play of all the games. Play of all of the games of the Thrones. Yes, I here's the thing. I watched the episode. I was aware of the issues while watching it, like certain things. I'm like as it starts, straight away, I'm like, why are they all charging out into nothingness? You know, like there's certain things as you're watching the episode, but then at the same time, as my mind's kind of going, why are they charging out to nothingness? I'm like, fuck, that looks cool. Fuck, this score is amazing. I'm loving this build up. Oh, it's like, so. Although I'm watching the episode and my mind is doing it is aware of certain things that I'm like, that doesn't seem right. That
doesn't seem smart.
Or whatever. That doesn't seem smart.
Flying around forever.
Yeah, there's certain things, of course, throughout the episode, but come the end of it, don't care. Epic. Loved it. That's it. I can push aside pretty much all of my negatives for this episode and say I just loved the episode. I'm a little bit, you could say I'm a little bit biased because Arya is my favorite character. So the finale was kind of like
built for you,
a big fuck yes moment. Yeah, especially after years, because she's been my favorite character pretty much the entire show. I wouldn't say since season 1 because I wouldn't say I had a favorite character in season 1. So I think I'd say from season 2 onwards, I've been on #Team Arya. And there was those couple seasons there where people would say she was shit and she's the worst character in the show because
those
they
years
hated
in the House of Black.
Those years in the House of Black and stuff. And there was years of my life where I had to stand up for her and be like, "Nah, you don't understand. It's all gonna come to
me. You just wait."
Yeah, but it's so funny because I would literally tell people you just wait. But I had no idea what I'm waiting. I have no idea what I'm saying. Just wait for. But now if I could travel back in time, I'd be like, you just wait. One day she's going to use everything that we've been trained for to kill the Night King. You wait. You see. That's
wow, you go back in time and spoil it for them? That's what
But if you go back to season 5 and if I just threw that out of a left field, no one would go, oh, spoilers. They'd go, yeah, right. Because that would...
I don't feel like they would. I think that was a valid suggestion for a while.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Maybe not. Maybe season 6.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
talking.
yeah.
I'm talking while she's
But-
fucking training. No one
Yeah.
would. I don't reckon anyone would have even considered her an option at all. So, yeah. I think. And here's the thing. We'll get into the. Hold on. Before we get into the, I was gonna say it's really well shot, but then that ties into the darkness thing, and we'll get into that set because it's questionable, of course.
Certain things are really well shot.
Yeah, I'll say the score is amazing. I think this is the best music that I can't say his name, so I'm not really not going to even try. But the same guy who does both the music for this and Westworld, I think this is the best. Some of the best music he has done. Full stop. That opening piece at the start of this episode, as like we get that one shot, kind of one shot, like building the tension. Yeah. It's got like this drum beat in the background, which reminding me of Dunkirk. You know, it's like this heart beating, like building the tension, building the tension, building the tension. And then several key pieces, that last piece of music that plays during the final moments episode. Oh, it's definitely some of
The Night King. Look it up on Spotify.
Look it up. I think it's the only piece of music that I could see from this episode that's up so far as well.
That's not good.
No, I was looking for the whole thing. I got to work after this episode aired, and I straight away just put on all of Game of Thrones, Westworld music. I was just listening to it for the rest of the day at work. I was like, this music's so fucking good. I can't get away from it. The acting was great. I thought this episode, the set design and stuff, the amount of work from everyone that's involved to make this episode work is just massive. The amount of extras and pieces and cogs turning and stuff, and I just find it hard not to watch it and just appreciate how like massive this episode is and be like, this is fucking television, you know? Like to dream you'd have something this epic fantasy level on your TV screens like when we were kids or something would be wouldn't even be considered. So yeah, I think I suppose to wrap it up, I'd say it's definitely not one of my favorite episodes. It'd be creeping there just for the Arya stuff, though. So I don't know. Maybe I'd have to sit on a bit more. It might creep into my top 10 solely because I enjoyed several character moments, even though I think certain characters got plot armor and that doesn't make sense. Like Sam should have died. Brienne probably should have died. Fucking Grey Worm definitely should have died. There's several characters with plot armor, and that stuff annoys me to a bit. But I just think the stuff I loved so much about the episode just makes me just literally don't even care. You know, the good outweighed the bad for me so heavily that I don't really care. It's definitely not one of the best. If I was to look at it with a critical eye, it's definitely not one of the best Game of Thrones episodes. You put it that way. So if you want to get into the darkness stuff, so I sit down to watch the episode, and my brother watches this with me on a weekly basis. 2 minutes into the episode, he goes, "Do you have it on the HD channel?" Because there's standard def and there's HDF Foxtel channels. He's like, "Do you have it on the HD?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I do." Yeah. And I like pick up the remote and I like click on it. It's like, yeah, it's HD. I'm like, it's a bit weird. Maybe it's the signal's struggling or something like that. Hopefully it'll come right. You know, like some weird thing like that. Because straight away it's very evident. Like even with Sam walking through the tunnel, and because it's so dark inside the tunnel, it's like you got that weird like screen tearing effect just on all the blacks around and stuff like that. So to boil it down, how I would say I didn't struggle that much. I turned all the lights off in the room, and that kind of made and all the lights around every other room connected to the lounge room just made the whole house dark. Yeah, everything just like viewed it through an eye finder, did what was necessary to make it as dark as possible around me, and that helped for the most part. There was still some moments I was like, I don't know what the fuck just happened because it's way too dark.
I think the worst shot in the entire episode is when Bran walks and then the ravens
go
flying. Yeah, couldn't see any of that. Yeah,
I didn't have trouble with that one, interestingly, and that's the thing. Yeah, no, that's the thing with this. Like, I've seen people be on, like, literally on Twitter being like, I had no problems. I don't know what everyone's crying about. You know, like that's from that end to people on the opposite end, which is I could see nothing all whole episode. I don't know how anyone could see anything that was happening. Blah 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 blah. I would say I'm definitely like lower third, like
Yeah.
I'm not in the middle, I'm a bit below that kind of thing because I struggled a few times, but I wouldn't say I'm up here. Where would you say you kind of fall on the struggling to watch the episode?
Probably somewhere in the middle, I guess. Probably a bit more than you. Other than like the first like 10, 15 minutes of like adjusting everything and getting it sort of like just viewing it at the right angle where everything was fine. But yeah, I was watching on a stream, so it was a bit more difficult, I think, as well. So I'd be interesting to see if it's like a thing with people's eyesights. They just can't differentiate blackness correctly. And like, it turns out we just need to all go to the optometrist.
My initial thought as soon as the episode was over and I open up Twitter and I see that not only people in Australia are on Foxtel boxes and Foxtel streaming, so both satellite and streaming were struggling, but also people on HBO Go in America were struggling. My first thought was weirdly, I'm like, well, they fucked up rendering the episode before they sent it out. Like I legit thought they fucked up the episode rendering before going out. And although that's not...
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think that's technically true. I feel like the problem is they didn't render it at a high enough quality for, because of how dark and how black the episode is. They didn't render it at a high enough bit rate to really, for satellite or even streaming to be able to handle it. Because of course, the data is compressed. It doesn't matter if you're streaming, it doesn't matter if you're satellite, it's still being streamed, satellite's still streaming of some sort, data's being streamed some way. Either way, the episode was just compressed as most episodes are, but because the episode's so fucking dark, I don't feel like anyone in the world can say they've really viewed this episode the way the cinematographer and director intended it to be viewed. And
apparently it was screened at some cinemas. I think that would probably be the best.
But were they not? Were
or
they
like
just
an actual
streaming it?
HBO box.
Were they just streaming it though?
I assume so. Or
even
something.
at cinema, like it's not like they got sent a Blu-ray.
Yeah,
or a straight up download file. So they're probably
the director and the actual team behind the scenes saw the best version.
Yeah, it's because there's so many times I'm like, there's no way. Because I kept seeing people make remarks about, the lighting, who was in charge of lighting, they fucked up, the cinematography is shit, and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, no way. It's a choice for it to be so dark, but you can shoot stuff that's that dark, but still not make it utterly annoying and black and for the audience. So I just feel like I'm gonna have to save my final say on this episode's cinematography and stuff until I can
you get that Blu-ray in your sweet hands.
Blu-ray, or if it comes out on iTunes first, which is possible, I suppose. Like if they put it up straight after the season's done, I think they usually do something like that. I might just buy this episode.
Don't they even put it out like after the episode?
No, I would have brought it. I would have brought it just to have a look-see. But I'm pretty sure once the season's done, I will definitely buy this episode on iTunes if they put up the season straight away, just so I can view this one again in a straight download and see if that makes a difference. Yeah. But even then, the best quality and version we're going to be waiting for to truly test this is going to be, as you said, the Blu-ray.
4K Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray, or at least the 4K Blu-ray if that's what you can watch for sure. The last thing before we actually dive into the episode, because there was a lot of stuff happening this episode behind the scenes on the internets and stuff like that. What do you reckon of the negative reaction to this episode? I've seen a lot of people just straight up be like, it's shit, horrible episode, worst episode ever. I don't know why anyone watches this crap show. I've seen variations of people just calling this terrible, straight up terrible. Not even just like 7 out of 10. People have been like 1 out of 10 terrible episode.
I don't know.
What's with that?
I don't know. I like I said, I think it's like that 2-year gap that people have forgotten what Games of Thrones battles are like. We haven't had a battle like since the Battle of the Bastards though, so like this. And that was very much like this episode.
It was.
Like the fighting style and that sort of thing. It was very similar and people were raving about that. It was just obviously with that extra element of not being able to see anything. Everybody going in with the expectation that everybody's going to die. That everyone was fair game, and then obviously people not dying the way they thought they were going to die or who was going to die, and then also how it ended and people thinking it had been built up a certain way, where it was sort of built up another way.
Yeah.
The way we got.
There was the best tweet. If I could find it real quick, it's worth a reading shot for shot, just so I don't misquote someone, because I just thought of it just now. But the best tweet I saw was from one Rian Johnson, who is the director of the Last Jedi, in case you don't know.
Film that was universally loved.
Universally loved Last Jedi. He sent out this tweet that I thought was just cherry on the fucking pudding for this episode. He said, "God damn it, I had this whole amazing Night King theory." I was like, that is so good, because they're both the negative reaction to the Night King being taken down is very similar to the negative reaction to when Snoke was taken down, and because people were so disappointed because they built Snoke up to be this massive character who's got all this backstory and blah 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 that we're going to know, and Night King just the same. But weirdly, the difference is we already got the Night King backstory. We literally saw a scene of how he was created, where the children of the forest, whatever they're called, like stab him with the ice shard thing and dragon glass. Yeah, and then
why?
Oh, we don't get
experimenting.
He's a like people were like, oh, it's Bran. And
oh no, he was created to kill humans. That was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, like he was one part of the first man, which is like I suppose the original human species or whatever, and then like everyone else is considered the Northerners or whatever they are, and something like that. It was like he was created to fight back, I guess. Now, do we need more of his story? I personally don't really. I mean, he was
I don't think. Doesn't seem like a talky type to give any story details, so I'm not too concerned.
Nothing. This entire show, he says nothing. And then also people wanted him to have like a one-on-one like epic sword fight with Jon for some reason. I'm like, this fucking guy has not raised his sword once this entire show. And you think he's going to draw it and suddenly just like be an epic sword fight? Like, where was she getting that idea from?
No offense, but Jon doesn't have the best track record.
No.
With epic moments.
all that as well. But yeah, on the negative reaction, I was just like, I can't. Like I sent out a tweet the other day. I'm like, the only thing, because people keep comparing it to Endgame too. Like, what do you reckon was better, Endgame or this? I'm like, I keep seeing these tweets. I'm like, these things are nothing alike. Different. They're completely different. Their budgets are different. They're different mediums. They're different formats. They're different stories. They're different, completely everything. But people keep comparing them. So that's why I put out a tweet that was just like, the only thing related about Endgame and Game of Thrones is that both watched by nerds who don't deserve either of them. And it's true, because you are all crying about shit, right? You're saying this is terrible? No. I'm saying this episode has a lot of problems. If you legit think this is 1 out of 10 worst episode of TV you've ever seen, we deserve nothing but low budget CW shows for the next 10 years to fucking get everyone's
just go easy on
just to calm everyone the fuck back down and realize what they're saying. 1 out of 10, get out of fucking town. What a load of shit. Anyway, let's dive into the episode. I don't know how much we're going to have to say at certain points, because of course a lot of it is like, it's like 15 minutes of stuff happening, but it's like how much is there to really discuss when about it? Because obviously the whole episode is mostly action, and there's not much like talking or actual like character development or stuff to discuss really. So
other than bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll see how it goes, but we'll go through the episode. So the episode opens with this long silent shot and a slow build up as the fantastic score, as I mentioned before, builds up and drops into how epic this is going to be, and what you're about to see is how epic. We see the armies gathering outside, and we see people gathering into their places. We follow Sam for a little bit, and then we follow Tyrion as well. And then the first line is delivered by Edison as Sam makes his way to the front of to join him outside eventually. And the first line of the whole episode, after like 3-4 minutes or something, probably like 5 minutes of just silence and slow like musical score build up, is just Edison going, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And I was like, I wrote it down straight away, like that line, because I was like, that's kind of funny, because I bet you that line is going to be me and or characters for the rest of this episode going, "Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh, for fuck's sake!" I felt like it was kind of a funny setup for it all. That we then see like someone riding in on a horse in the distance. It turns out it's Melisandre. Is it Melisandre or Melisandre? I can't. Sandra? I can't remember, sorry. The Red
Who
Woman.
cares?
Whatever, however, who cares?
Yeah.
She dies. She shows up and people are like, where the fuck did you come from at first? Because she seems to come from the direction that all the White Walkers are and stuff, but
Yeah.
sure. She appears
Well,
down
she was
nowhere.
banished at the end of
season last
6.
season. Well, not even the end of it, like the start of it, wasn't she? Surely, or something like that. Danny was like, "Yeah, fuck off, go away," and she's like, "I'm going to go back to Bralos and pray and
No,
do
it
stuff."
was John.
Or
Because they found
John,
out
sorry,
she killed Cherie.
Yeah. She's like, "I'm going back to Bralos to pray and stuff. Do what I need to do." Davos wanted to kill her, obviously. Still
He wasn't
does
a fan.
in this episode. So she shows up and then she lights all the Dothraki's swords with fire and then moves
Cool shot.
back. Very cool shot as they all light up. Very, very cool shot. Lots of cool shots in this episode,
Sets up
even
a cool
amongst
shot or
even amongst the darkness. Lots of cool shots. And then she walks back. She says she speaks to Grey Worm for a second and says the
Valar Morghulis.
Valar Morghulis, yeah, or however you say it. And then she moves back into the castle where Davos is running down to stab her, I think.
Stab her, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have his sword drawn, but he's moving pretty fast to get to her. And then when she those two meet up, she says, "There's no need to execute me, Sir Davos. I'll be dead before the dawn." It's like, ooh, is she real?
Well, that's a prophecy that was... She thought she was going to die at the battle with Stannis.
Yeah, she
against
thought she
the
was...
Boltons.
Yeah, she said when fighting for
Pretty sure she was going to die at Winterfell. A battle.
She
at Winterfell,
thought
so.
Stannis was the prince that was promised, or whatever the saying is, or whatever, the reborn god or whatever that related to her thing that she prays to, which is relevant a bit later when we can get into Arya, because that's some stuff, I guess. But and then we go to Jon and Dany, who land the dragons up on a mountain, and they watch the Dothraki along with Jorah and Ghost, who it was like, oh hey,
Ghost, yeah,
Ghost is here,
Ghost,
yeah. I like how it's kind of annoying how they keep popping Ghost in at times and then never really following up if you know.
It's like, where's Wally? That's what it is.
A bit.
Where's Ghost? This episode. Can you spot him?
By the end of this episode, everyone's like, holy shit, does Ghost die in this charge? But then people pointed out that you can actually see Ghost in the trailer for next week's episode. So it's like, oh, Ghost lives, I guess. But they never show you if he makes it out of this particular charge or not, but apparently does. So they'll charge into battle. And as I said before, why they charge into battle, I don't really know.
To be fair, the Dothraki have one move. It's just charging at people.
I suppose, yeah. Maybe.
They don't have... they're not big on tactics.
No. But also, Jorah's the one leading them.
I mean, somebody had to watch.
It is.
He's like check, making sure they're there. So that's why he was the one who came back.
They're no good as stationary targets. They got to be...
yeah, they got to be on the move.
They got to be on the move, yeah, sure. I mean, it was a cool shot to see all those fire swords fucking charge off into the distance and stuff like that. And then as they slowly get incinerated and stuff like that, as they hit the wall.
Yeah, just seeing how that affected the people.
Everyone's back is just like, yeah. But so is the audience, like, fuck. Like, I was a whole Dothraki army or whatever. So, yeah. So they all charge into distance. And some of them managed to make their way back. We don't at this stage really know what the fuck happened. They just ran into the army of the dead. And the army of the dead's fucking
That was the
huge.
other thing. The darkness helped. It sort of, you didn't see the wall of the dead, sort of saving money on the budget, I think. You got a brief glimpse at it, but...
I don't know if it's a budget thing more so as they literally wanted to tease how big the army was, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a little bit of both somewhat. But we see Jorah and a couple of the Dothraki managed to make it back out of that stuff alive somehow. And then the army of the dead charge in, and we get to see that shot of that we saw in the trailer last week for this week's episode of Jaime and Brienne like bracing for them all, and shit hits the fan pretty fast. It looks like it's all going to be over in a hot 2 minutes really at first, because the army of the dead is, I would say, substantially a lot bigger than we considered them to be, and they may have considered them to be. But yeah, it kind of reminded me a lot of World War Z, because like they're not running behind one another, charging. They're like on top of one another, and like they're just literally
sort of fighting with each other to get to people.
Yeah, they're like a bowl. They're like a tumbling bowl of White Walkers that just hit them. More so than a actual like army of people, like proper ghouls like wandering up and stuff. So yeah, but they come in and they hit everyone fucking hard, and it's like
a freaking wave.
Yeah, yous are fucked. To put it plainly, yous are fucked. So then the next kind of weird decision thing that happens is after watching this for a little bit, John and Danny are like, hey, we've got dragons. We might as well try and get down there and help out. So
I don't know. Yeah, I think it was a dumb plan to go, hey, we're not going to help. We're just going to wait for the Night King to get to Bran. That was the plan initially, and that's why John was hesitant to,
I guess, so,
get on the dragon and help out. So,
but then he was underestimating his own enemy. But then
Danny's like, that's half my army gone. I'm not going to sacrifice
maybe we should go help them. Yeah, so they get down there and they start clearing lines of White Walkers, which is helping out a little bit. But there's still so fucking many of them that I suppose it's like you could be like, oh, how's he finding so many more dead people? But it's like, if imagine, I just like to imagine the Night King along the way to Winterfell, just stopping at every graveside, just being like, here's about 1,000 more, here's about 5,000 more, 1,000 more, yeah, just raising them along the way. Imagine all the freaking dead people that would be along the way for him. So this seems to be working for a little, at least a minute here, as they're clearing waves, and people they seem to be getting back to even field somewhat, but then ice and cold starts sweeping over everything. Winter has officially hit, it seems. This is surely like a Night King like magic thing, like
that's what I thought as well. So I'm assuming it wasn't a coincidence, which again didn't help the episode because it ruined the visibility a lot as well.
But then also I can understand why some shots were supposed to be hard, because it's like, they can't see.
No, it makes sense, because what he was trying to do was get the dragons out of
the battle,
out of the equation. Because
so
he didn't want them. Obviously, Danny and John didn't want to fire on their own people by accident.
Yes.
You can't see the battlefield. You can't provide artillery.
Aim your dragons. You're American. Fire. That's right. So that comes over, and then they kind of get lost. Then Sam nearly gets killed by a White Walker on top of him, but little old Ed comes in for the save. But then as he's telling Sam to get up and get back into the fight, Ed is stabbed through the back. R.I.P.
Rip.
Our first kill of a supporting character for the episode. But Sam, seeing his friend die, goes, yeah, fuck that shit, and he turns around and runs.
Yep.
So many times this episode.
Well, he dropped his weapon, I guess, so it makes sense.
This is add this to time one that Sam should have died and survived somehow. And then start your counter now, everyone, I suppose. Arya up on the wall with Sansa tells Sansa to go down into the crypt, seeing as things are not exactly going to plan all the best at all. She gets down there, walks down, stares at Tyrion.
She gives her a dragon glass.
She does give her a dragon glass.
Calls back to a line from like the second episode, stick 'em with a pointy end.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. She goes down there, stares at Tyrion for a hot second, doesn't need to say anything. Tyrion kind of knows what's up, takes a swig of his drink, which I liked how they just like stare at each other for a couple seconds. Then he's like, yep. Yep. Take a bigger drink, that's for sure. Danny and John are up still struggling on the dragons in the cold. Can't see shit. John manages to find his way back to the castle though, landing on the wall, but Danny is still out there lost within the cold and stuff. As the army of the dead creep forward even more and more, everyone starts ordering retreats. So slowly they'll start making their way back inside the castle walls. Grey Worm orders the Unsullied though to stand to protect the retreat as it's all happening. So the Unsullied are the true champs. Well, Grey Worm, true champs of this episode, kind of saving a lot of people. And as the waves of dead continue coming in and then Grey Worm drops the drawbridge in, and then everyone up on the wall starts trying to fire arrows at it to light the trench on fire, but it's not working.
Well, Davos tries to send a signal, but because of this winter wall or whatever.
they can't see it.
The dragons can't see it.
Can't light the fire, yeah. And the arrows aren't lighting it on fire, so then they're all like, oh, this isn't exactly going to plan at all, is it? This is another thing where it's like, I mean, you could have like already had the wall of fire before that, like starting the battle. I don't see any reason to not already have the wall of fire happening. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
There's
how are you supposed to get back across?
They could have left a gap and then like started the fire two sides of it and left a small gap and then like with rocks or something like that. You know what I mean? And then like a way that you could just drop it, the drawbridge, and then it would connect. You know what I'm saying? Like the circle would connect when they drop the bridge kind of thing. But it's still just like you could have had the wall of fire going before anyone got there. But nonetheless, you
don't want to burn it all out before they get there.
I don't know if dragon fire burns out that fast. I don't know, maybe. So then Grey Worm looks over as the fire's not happening, and he looks over at Melisandre back in the inside the castle there, and goes over to. Well, we don't see him do this, but I just like to think he goes over, he's like, "Hey, come help, do magic," and then he comes out and leads her out into the drawbridge, well, the bridge there where it's been dropped, and she gets down on the ground with a bunch of Unsullied protecting her, and she starts trying to do magical spells, and it seems like it's not going to work at all until the last second when it does, and the whole thing catches on fire. Another cool shot of fire.
It's a big trench. The Lord of Light needed to power up first.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's the interesting thing. Is like all of her powers are based on the Lord. Like I think with the mythos for her, right, is that she can't just do magic willy nilly. It's all it's all reliant on if the Lord of Light wants her to wills it and wants it to actually happen. So yeah, it's like the Lord of Light wanted all this to happen. So yeah, then they get the whole thing catch on fire. Another cool shot where you get to see the fire spread along it, like the whatever at the start of the episode.
Yeah, very cool shot.
Cool shot, and then. Everyone else starts retreating backwards, of course, and for a hot second, they think they're kind of good, and Dany is able to see a signal now and find her way back to the castle, so she starts heading back to Winterfell. She's kind of drifted off a fair way into distance. Inside the crypt, Tyrion starts to get a little bit annoyed that he isn't up there actually helping, saying that he could be seeing something that no one else would be able to see, like he's done before at the Battle of Blackwater, that's the name of it, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, the Battle of Blackwater, and then Sansa is like, "Yeah, no, we can't help. If any of us go out there, we would all die very, very fast. You just have to accept that." And then they have a nice little moment where Tyrion just jokingly says, "We should have just stayed married," and then she responds with, "You were the best of them," and I was like, "Oh, well,
she was only married.
It's
twice.
True." Yeah, but it's still true. Like,
I mean, if you add Joffrey. I guess that's 3.
Yeah, it's 3 marriages she's had, and Tyrion's definitely
easily the top of the list.
Easily the top of the list, yeah. So it's the first of like 2 cool, sweet moments, I suppose, between those 2 characters this episode. Then we get to we see that Theon is over protecting Bran with a few people with arrows. That's their big game plan, to stand around Bran in a big circle and shoot any White Walkers with arrows before they can reach him.
Yeah,
hopefully,
that makes sense.
And
it's a well lit wood.
It's a weird wood tree. Wood. There's your tongue twister for the day.
Don't tongue twisters normally make sense?
No. Bran talks to Theon for a second, and then Bran does his first creepy line and moment for the whole episode, where he just looks up at Theon and is like, "I'm going to go now." And then closes his eye and walks into a crow, which is the shot you said you struggled to see anything that was happening.
Struggled seeing. Yeah. I thought that was a nice moment with Theon trying to say, "Hey, I'm sorry about everything I've done," and Bran being like, even though he says it creepily, you did everything that you did brought you to this moment. So.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This moment was fine. I think it was ruined for me because of the creepy, I'm going to go now. I'm not sure. Their moment at the end of the episode is the one that works
obviously. Better.
But this one, I was like, "Oh," and I'm going to go now. No, okay, that's weird. Kind of ruined.
I don't know. I like weird brands, so
it's the thing at this stage. Like, and it's Game of Thrones' own meme inside of its own world.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, oh, Bran. Like, you weirdo. So then he walks into a crow and we see the crow fly under Dany's dragon, I think, or something like that. And then it follows off and it goes south of the castle, so behind Winterfell, and it goes up and we see that the Night King's atop of his dragon and he's coming in towards them. And then we also see that he does like a movement with his hand. I presume like some sort of mind control-y, whatever. He orders, basically what he does is he orders the dead who are stopped at this stage around the circle of fire surrounding the castle. He basically orders them to start committing suicide into the fire, but then by doing that, they building a bridge of bodies that the rest of them can start crossing. So, I
mean, smart.
Yeah, it is smart. It works for sure. I mean,
it's fucked up, but smart.
Yeah, you definitely can't argue that it doesn't work. That's
effective too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they got the low on numbers to spare either, really. So
yeah.
So as they're sitting around the castle, the Night King finally like arrives above the castle somewhat, and Jon spots him and is like, "Fuck me, there he is. Better go off after him. Do I call for help? Do I see where Dany is? Like, do I do anything?" He's like, "No, off I go." He's very one-minded with his whole plan of. Because I suppose in his mind, he's like, we're going to lose unless I get him. Like, so it's all or nothing on the suicide mission to kill the Night King, I guess. Like, it doesn't really matter. Can't kill the Night King, we're all going to lose, whatever. So he takes off chasing after him and then appears to lose him, I guess. And then Dany catches up to Jon and they're sitting in the air, which is another thing I'm like, why are you just sitting there? Like, don't be moving targets. You know what I mean? Like, don't just be sitting there. It just makes you an easy target.
They were baiting him.
Like, no, they were not. They were being fucking dumb. They were just
waiting.
They would be dumb. So then the Night King bursts in out of nowhere, of course, catches them off guard and starts chasing after them all with ice breath in tow. So off they go for 3 dragons playing chases off in the sky. We do get some cool dragon shots throughout this episode, though, I suppose, and stuff happening. Like, there's that one particular. Okay. Do you not like that moon shot?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That one was
like
really
when
cool.
You could actually see what they're doing.
Oh well, yeah. Some of them were hard, obviously, but that moon shot I thought was quite pretty because it's a long shot. Like the dragons are like kind of specks off in the distance and like next to the moon and stuff like that. So I thought that was a nice one. Back at the fight that is happening, we see that the Hound is having a bit of a panic attack and hiding in a corner.
He's not good with fire.
No, he's definitely not good with fire. We definitely know this. And then
Beric
is trying to...
The guy with the fire sword.
Yes, the guy with the fire sword who... Well, I mean, we all know...
He's helping the guy who doesn't like fire.
We all know he hasn't had the best run with Beric, really, either. He like forced him to deal with fire somewhat, I guess, but...
Yeah.
So then he's like trying to get the Hound to snap out of it, and then it's not really working. And at this stage, a giant bursts through the front gate, knocking Lyanna Mormont across the room, which was kind of shocking to watch, to be perfectly honest. Like
the little kid.
Yeah, little girl's just like sitting there, and then she just goes whacked, and she goes fucking flying.
Yeah. Yeah, she certainly does.
She goes fucking flying. But true champ that she is, gets up.
She ain't going to take that.
She ain't going to take that shit.
She ain't going to get knocked around.
No, she gets up. She fucking charges at that giant. Her dragon glass dagger in hand. But this moment brought a tear to my eye. It was hard to watch just because, like, when the giant grabs her, and just you hear the sound like the crush, like her body being crushed in this giant's hand, and I was like, oh. No. And then because he like holds her there for a couple seconds and you're not sure what's going to happen, I guess. And you're just like, oh, this is how she goes. Like, this is fucked up.
Yep.
But then she pulls out the dagger.
He goes to try and eat her, I think.
Yeah. Well, that would have been really fucked up. Goes to try and eat her, and then luckily she pulls out the dragonglass dagger, stabs him through the eye.
Yeah.
Goes down like a champ, I guess.
Lyanna Mormont going out like a boss.
Lyanna Mormont goes down like a boss. So that was cool, but still I was like, oh,
rip. Yeah.
That was hard. That was a hard one to watch.
It was interesting that the behind the scenes thing, they said they originally intended Lyanna Mormont to be just a one appearance thing.
Yeah, wasn't that the first episode was in full stop? Like that was supposed to be her one and only appearance?
Yeah, one and only thing. But the actress is so good, and then they kept bringing her back.
The internet loved her also.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So it's like
now they can stop de-aging her using the de-aging technology each episode so she stays young.
I like to believe the reason they kept her in the rest of that season is because the actress was good. And then I like to believe the reason she was kept around for the final season and stuff was because they liked her. But
Internet went crazy. Yeah.
Internet went crazy with her also. So they were like, yeah, well, she's definitely on board for the rest of the seasons. And she goes down fighting like a true champ that she is. Then we get to see that Arya is also fighting for her life. Well, she's not fighting for her life just yet, I suppose. She is fighting. She's.
I guess everybody's fighting for their life
technically, I suppose, yeah.
Because all the whites are sort of working their way up
the bridge,
wall,
yeah.
Over on top of each other in the shot most reminiscent of World War Z.
Yes.
Like them standing
or two towers.
I don't feel like the orcs ever stood on each other trying to get up. They had like
there definitely was that part where all the orcs are trying to climb up the.
Yeah, but they had like ladders and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
The whites didn't have anything. They just
but yeah, you're right. This whole fucking. They just remind me of World War Z the whole episode, really. Yeah. But that move's horrible. But they do remind me of World War Z. So we get to see Jaime's like fighting him back. Brienne's fighting him back. You know, Sam's doing what he can, and everyone's trying to fight to keep off the wall. But of course, there's so many of them. They're eventually making up over the wall. Arya's fighting them, and she seems to be doing pretty well at first. I guess
using that cool.
It's a double-sided spear thing at first, but then we do get to see what people thought, which is that she can, in fact, pull it into two separate parts.
Yep.
And starts going ham with that. She's taking them all down, and then she starts to get overrun a bit, and she does a cool thing where she like dives over all these ones climbing up this staircase, which was cool, but then that causes
she takes a blow to the head and
knocks her head, and then she
loses the weapon that she got Gendry to make specifically for her.
Yes. I'm gonna put an asterisk on that one and say that she loses it there, but there's no reason that she can't find it again next episode.
Yeah, I guess.
Like they don't need
they don't need dragon glass anymore, so she can get Gendry to make it with like proper metal.
I suppose. It's cool. It's a cool weapon. Just take the end out. But yeah, they don't need to show. If she turns up next episode or something and she's just carrying it, I don't need to see the scene of her going back to that staircase and finding it, because I think it's very easy to just go, it's still there. Like none of her enemies are going to pick up her weapon to use. That's not the type of enemies they were facing off against. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm hoping it comes back because it's a cool weapon for her and stuff. But then she starts running away, of course, and she starts sliding down this rooftop, I guess is what I called it. But it's like, I don't know, it's at the top of a barn or something, I guess, inside the courtyard of Winterfell, so she starts flying down there, and then Beric uses this as a chance to kind of snap the hound out of it. Beric points out Arya flying down this rooftop with undead in tow and stuff, and it snaps the hound out of his scared state. Once again, proving that he does have affection for
Arya.
Needs to protect her still. Then we go to the horror movie scene of the episode. The most horror movie scene of the entire episode, which is, I remember before the episode came out, they were describing it as a survival horror episode, and I was like, it's a battle episode. I don't know if that makes sense. But then this entire scene is just like...
well, it makes sense. I think they also said later they sort of need to break up the episode. Otherwise, if it's 70 minutes of just battle...
People hitting each other.
Get pretty boring.
Back and forth. Yeah. I really like this scene though. So Arya manages to sneak into a library, and she's kind of a bit out of it and scared at this stage because she got knocked the fuck out.
She's got a mild concussion.
Mild. For all we know, she actually got knocked the fuck out. Either way, her head's bleeding and stuff. She hit her head pretty hard. She's making it through this section, and there's a bunch of whites in the room and walking around, and I don't know, how many would you say? There's probably like 5-6 in the room total. Like she's kind of creeping around, it seems. Like a few, a decent number, it seems.
It's a fair number. I'd say like 10 or 12. It's a pretty big library as well.
Yeah.
So.
There's a few in there. It's not just like one she could sneak behind, take out, and then kind of be done with it. At one stage, I think this is relevant, especially for later in the episode, this part. Like at first, I didn't understand why they included it, but then I suppose it makes more sense. But because obviously she's trained assassin, she's moving very silently. And I think the scene where as she's making it around and dodging all of the White Walkers and stuff, the scene where she slides across the floor and gets under the table, but then they show that her blood is dripping on the floor and it tracks the White Walker. At first, when you're watching it, it's like, okay, her blood, that seems a bit unrealistic. But I think the reason they show you that her blood is the thing that attracts them is to go, hey, she literally just slid across the floor and was moving around, and all of that was quieter than the sound of her own blood hitting the ground. You know? Like just to
that's a good point.
It's really just to re-emphasize how silent a mover that she is, which is really relevant towards in the final scene, of course, with her
episode.
Yeah, because when you're watching it, you're like, that's weird. Why is it like her blood attracted? And that seems a bit weird, but whatever. Yeah, but I think it is just to really rub in. Arya is fucking quiet. She moves really fucking quiet. There's even
she is a level 20 rogue.
For
she
sure.
rolls very high on her stealth checks.
There's even that. They've done a lot in the last couple of episodes to kind of prove how quiet she is. Even when she
sneaks up on John.
Yeah, that John scene in the first episode. Is it the first episode? Yeah. That first episode where John's standing at the weirwood tree, and then he's like, I didn't hear you sneak up with me or whatever, and she just comes out of nowhere. So yeah, they've done a lot in this episode and previous episodes to kind of go, Arya is very fucking quiet, like when she needs to be, and will move fast and quiet. Yeah. But she manages to pick up a book and kind of throw it across the room to make a bunch of them go over there. And then she quietly sneaks out of that room, and she thinks she's okay. But then the room adjacent from the room she just left has a bunch of White Walkers burst out of it, which of course the noise of that then attracts all the ones that she wasn't just in the room with, and they start bursting out of that room. So of course now she's on the run from everyone. We then cut to Beric and the Hound, who are sneaking down corridors looking for her, and she bursts out of a door in front of them with a White Walker landing on top of her. Beric throws his sword like fucking Darth Vader and takes out one of the White Walkers, which was pretty cool, and then runs down to save her. But he gets stabbed.
That's hard to do.
It's very hard to do, for sure. Yeah. Swords are heavy, from what I gather.
Yeah. You're just getting it to hit with the right end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Have you ever tried throwing throwing knife or something like that?
No.
Blunt end. Every time.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do it with a dart or something, like, I'll throw the dart. Not straight, but like I'll make it spin and hit that. No, bounced off. All right, cool. Never mind. Yeah. So yeah, Beric gets stabbed once here. I think by the end of the scene, Beric gets stabbed about 1,000 times, but he gets stabbed once straight away here. And then they start moving down the corridor. He starts getting stabbed more times. Arya keeps trying to save him. Eventually, they're working their way up the corridor. The Hound's like pulling Arya away from trying to save Beric every single time. Eventually, Beric does a Hodor moment and kind of puts his arms.
He holds the door.
Yeah, he holds the door and he like puts his arms up and holds back a bunch of the White Walkers.
He holds the doorway.
Yes, he holds. I said a Hodor moment. Come on. The Hound carries Arya away. Beric gets stabbed about 20,000 times.
Yep, he gets stabbed a lot.
Then he manages to somehow still walk away, make it inside. A lot of
core strength.
Yeah. Manages to walk away, land inside some empty room that Arya and the Hound are now in, and then they close the door, somehow getting away from the ones that were chasing him. But nonetheless, real heavy barricade the Hound put down. That one bookcase or whatever. It's very heavy.
Yeah, I can't think of the word.
No. So Arya gets down. Beric doesn't really say anything, and he passes away. And then from behind, Melisandre appears, entering the room that they're all in, and Arya speaks to her for a moment, and they have a bit of back and forth where she's just like, I know you, and she's like, yes, you do. You've killed many people, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, you said I'd shut many eyes, and I have. And then Melisandre says, brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes. And what do we say to the god of death? And then Arya responds, not today, and charges off. Which when you're at first watching the episode, her charging off, I'm like, what does she realize? I didn't put it together at first. I thought the blue eyes. That was
the point, though. That's what they wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
They said they wanted you to forget.
Yes. Yeah, they put it early enough in the episode that there's enough that happens between now and the end that you kind of forget where the fuck Arya is because you're so distracted. I thought the blue eyes hang and reveal of like what exactly that meant, because even not understanding what she's about to do, I still understood the blue eyes thing. I was like, oh yeah, be here for the fight for the White Walkers. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, just the White Walkers.
Just the White Walkers in general. I didn't put together that she meant actually
specifically
kill the king himself. No, but yeah, I thought that was a cool moment nonetheless. So then Arya runs off, of course. Jon, back up in the sky, manages to find the Night King, and he flies his dragon into him like a destruction fucking derby, pretty much. And then we get into a game of Dragon Twister as the dragons are kind of clawing at one another, and the Night King's dragon, whose dragon's real name I don't remember at all. I'm sorry, Game of Thrones hardcore fans, or Dragon.
Sorry, Danny.
Too. Yeah, or Danny. I'm sorry. But yeah, that dragon's like trying to bite Jon's head off as they're kind of in this big twister spinning tanglement that's happening here. But then Danny swoops in and manages to knock the Night King off of his dragon onto the ground below. And this also sends Jon into a crash landing as well, and he lands down on the ground a bit further down from where the Night King lands. Danny spots the Night King and orders him to be burned. And at first I was like, I legit for a hot second was like, all right.
Damn.
Like I was like, if that's the way he's going to go, sure.
Jeez.
Yeah, burn him. Fucking burn that little motherfucker. But then because you're like, for a split second, my brain's like, all right. But then the second later, it's like,
and then you look at the clock.
Yeah, then you look at the clock and you're
wait
like,
a second.
You ain't gonna die, yeah. You're like, you ain't gonna die here. And then the flames start passing as the dragon stop breathing fire on it, and it reveals that Night King is just standing there unscathed, and he literally smirks at Danny, like, which was a big player move.
Yep, so you can check Dragonfire off the list.
Yeah.
From last week. Bran said nobody's tried Dragonfire on him before.
Yeah, and the answer is we have now, and no, doesn't work. Yeah. I saw some people online.
Curious to see why.
No,
why didn't it work?
Magic. That's legit. I saw people.
Or is he a past Targaryen?
Yes, I saw people throwing that around like, oh, he's Targaryen, blah, 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 blah. And in my mind, I don't need it explained because to me, it is just simply.
I mean, maybe all first men were,
No, I don't think
immune to fire.
No, I just think it's magic, right? He's very powerful magic. He can literally raise the dead with the fucking, like, just easy. He just raises the dead everywhere around him. The idea that he can have a powerful enough magic to protect himself against Dragonfire when you can bring the dead back to life without even having to literally be next to the bodies. I think I give that a pass. Like, it just, to me, he's just a powerful magic user.
Yeah,
full stop.
That's fair.
I don't really need more than that. I don't feel like there's reason. So then he smirks at her and he throws a spear or a dagger or something.
Smirks, yes. That's the most important.
But the most important thing is
he shows some emotion.
He shows some sort of emotion, yeah. Danny manages to dodge the thing that as it's being thrown though and flies off a little bit. The Night King then starts walking towards Winterfell, of course, but then Jon starts running and making his way towards him. And as the Night King hears him coming, he stops and turns around and does his big player hands out move meme thing that the internet loves. But then it starts raising the dead all around him, of course. Jon at first is just like, I've got no other choice. What else am I supposed to do? And he starts charging as well. I need to start running faster, but the dead, surely I can outrun the raising of the dead. The answer is, you can't. You can't, Jon. Jon, so you know nothing and you can't outrun the dead either. So then he runs and he kind of gets surrounded by all the dead. We get to see that the fan theory kind of comes true, that inside the crypts, the dead start coming back to life in there as well. It's not just the dead outside of Winterfell that are being raised. It's literally
all the dead.
It's all the dead around the certain area of whatever his magic spreads to, I guess. I don't really need to know the exact distance. But we don't get the full fan theory of ever seeing any family members come back to life, which I saw people being upset about. I'm like, what a waste of opportunity. I'm like, I
don't know. Have you seen the whites? They're not really recognisable.
Yeah, because I really want a fucking 5-minute scene of like Sansa being, oh, I have to kill my own dad. Well, I'm like, there's no time for that shit in this fucking episode. Like, where are we going to fit in that moment? Anyway, so Jon begins fighting for his life as the Night King turns and continues heading back into Winterfell. And at this, I legit, like many things this episode at times, and certain things I believe should have just happened and certain other things I let pass. Like, I was like, okay, Jon's legit going to die, because I didn't understand how he was supposed to survive the pure amount of white orcas that were surrounding him for this second. But then I kind of forgot about Dany and her existence for a hot second as well. So, but she flies in, clears the ones that are all in front of Jon, lands her dragon, which was the silly move. Lands her dragon, starts taking out the path, clears that. So then Jon runs on in to try and catch up to the Night King. And heads towards Winterfell. But Dany's dragon starts getting piled on by the dead, which, once again, kind of reminds me of World War Z, but
yeah,
they literally hang off a plane at some point.
Was there a dragon in World War Z?
There was planes,
okay.
Helicopters and stuff that they hang off. Similar. Yeah, they fly. Similar to dragons, they do fly. So then she tries to fly off a little bit, but then gets chucked off as the dragon. Is it Drogo or fuck? I don't know.
I assume it's Drogo.
I don't know how people know the names of dragons and then also can tell which one is which. Well, to be fair,
it was so dark you couldn't tell them apart.
I can't tell which dragon is which fucking dragon. I don't know how people do it.
Except one's blue. Breathes blue fire. That's the only difference.
They're all the same. Oh, yeah, well, the blue dragon, yeah. So she gets knocked off and dead start heading towards her, but then Jorah comes out of nowhere and is like, don't worry, I got this, babe. And like puts a hand out and starts to be fair, Dany does pick up a sword and they start fighting back to back.
Yeah.
Kind of to
first time Dany's
raised a sword, I believe. Or something, surely? Like has she raised a sword in this fucking thing? Like
I can't remember.
No,
probably, like just in case.
Maybe, I don't know, but anyway, those two start fighting for it. For their life. In the crypts, the dead are everywhere, unsurprising because they're the crypts.
Yeah.
And Sansa,
because they're everywhere.
Yeah, Sansa and Tyrion share a moment as they... I took it as they were preparing to go out fighting. Like,
yeah.
Is that how you took it, or was there something else? Like,
I mean, there could have been something else. That was a hell of a look. So, and he kisses her hand. But...
Yeah, I mean, I think they were like sharing some sort of affection for one another, but like it wasn't like they were like making some suicide pact.
Although
or something.
I don't think they were intending to explore it further. It's like
no,
hey, this could be the last moment. Yeah,
she like holds out her dagger. He looks. She's like, I took it as she's like, let's fucking do
try
this.
And save some people.
Do something. And he looks at her and is like, yep. They nod for a second. They share a look. I took the shared look as a like, okay, yes.
Wow, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And then she like he just kisses her. I mean, they share a moment. Whatever. I thought.
I know. We'll find out more next episode.
Yeah, find out more. We've got 3 episodes left. We get Jon walking through the courtyards. And he's kind of looking around and he gets to see the various different friends and stuff that he has all in dire situations. So you've got like Tormund on this pile of bodies, like swinging at whites surrounding him. You got Brienne and Jaime like fighting and Pod fighting backs up against a wall. You've got Sam on the ground just laying on top of a bunch of bodies crying.
He's just stabbing anyone who comes at him, I guess. He figured it'd be easier just to be lying down. Because
I think at this stage...
they have to lean down to grab him, so...
At this stage, he's well and truly mentally fucked, I guess. He's kind of lost it.
Or maybe he's just too tired to be standing. They've been going a while. I
think they're all pretty fucking tired. It's one thing. They didn't kill enough characters in this episode, but they certainly wore them out. Like...
Yep.
I don't know. Like, this scene here, I was expecting to see, like, Sam get killed or, fucking someone. Like, how do you feel about the kind of the success rate of our heroes surviving?
To be fair, they're the top tier, well, except for Sam, top tier fighters. So it makes sense that they'd be the ones who last longest.
Yes.
So
Look, I understand that because I saw some people being too realistic about it, and I'm like, it is a fantasy TV show. Let's take a fucking chill pill.
with
like,
3 episodes to go.
yeah, I was like, let's just take a chill pill for a hot second here. But they're like, how could these certain people take out so many, but then others die? I'm like, this show has already kind of set up before that like certain people are so good at fighting that they can literally take on hundreds of people of goons. Like, it's a very video gamey aspect to the storyline at certain stages, and I accept it because it's a fucking fantasy. It's a fucking fantasy novel. Yeah, sure. I accept it to a degree, but it's like Sam. I don't believe Sam fucking survived, right? At all. I take that a bit far. Grey Worm should have.
He was so non-threatening that
maybe Grey Worm definitely should have died. Brianna Jamie.
That's the one I was most surprised didn't die in this episode.
Yeah, Grey. It's like, what the fuck have they got left to do with Grey Worm, really? But I mean, maybe they need him.
I guess he's definitely going to die next battle.
Surely, you'd think so.
Surely, it's because he was too far away from Sandy. They've got to be closer when he dies.
Brianna
needs to die right in front of her.
Brianna and Jamie, I could kind of take, I guess. Like, we don't really see much of them after the opening of the fight, and the next time we really see them, they're just up against this wall. So I'm like, I don't know, like I guess backs up against the wall. If the only direction that they're coming from is in front of them, maybe they could literally survive until they're too tired to keep fighting. I guess, like, yeah, I could kind of believe that in my mind, because I'm like, Brienne is, as long as people won't want to believe it, like, we're kind of at this stage, Brienne is one of the best fighters in Westeros for sure.
Yeah.
So, and Jamie he's got one hand less, but he still would be better than.
I mean, that's one less arm to bite.
That's true. He can just use it as a protection thing. Yeah.
I saw a great line. Someone said they should have made him like a dragon glass arm or something.
Fucking
just so he could slap them white.
Slap them White Walkers. Yeah, that would have been funny, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not too fussed about not all the characters dying, because I'm like, we do have 3 episodes left, and if we get to the end of the season and like literally, like, no one dies but Cersei or something like that, I'll be like, come on, like, come on, Game of Thrones, come on, the show that literally killed off what we consider its main character 9 episodes in, and then killed off what we thought its next main character was, like, a season and a half later or whatever it was. If they don't kill off a couple characters in the final, at least a few characters by the end of this, it'll seem very Game of Thrones is my thing, and I'm willing to give it a bit of a pass because it is not the season finale.
Yeah.
So I'm like, some characters got plot armor for sure. 100% they got very heavy plot armor here. Plot armor to protect them to die later in a more epic fashion, story-wise, because, like, if Jamie dies in front of his sister, or like he kills his sister but then she survives, Brienne dies in that last fight, maybe, I don't know, like, whatever.
Who knows?
I'll give it a pass for now. Outside we see, John, eventually, I forgot where we was for a second. John walks past all these people. You can tell he's kind of like wants to stop, but knows that he has to like make the better decision, which is that if there's any chance of saving them, it's like, if there's any chance to save any of these people, I have to kill the Night King. So there's no point in stopping them, because then everyone will fucking die. So what's the point of that? But you can tell he's kind of pulling, like, his emotions are pulling him in 2 directions a bit. He then runs into a courtyard and he gets stuck behind the ice dragon, whatever its fucking name is, the bad dragon, breathing fire around this courtyard. He keeps trying to make it to get to where Bran is, but he can't make it past this dragon. He's blocked. He's blocked from pretty much all directions. He's pretty much fucked. And his final moment with that dragon is just him screaming in its face, which is quite funny.
Yeah,
Full Sprota! Get it back. Outside, Sejora goes down protecting Dany.
He gets stabbed multiple times as well.
He does get stabbed multiple times. He gets slashed on the knees.
Even push it out of the way and get stabbed.
Yeah, like he takes several slashes. At one stage, he's like on the ground, pretty much fighting on his knees and stuff like that. But eventually he goes down. That's definitely one of the biggest. Like, the next death is, I'd say, the biggest character death.
I'd say these are the top 2.
Yeah, these are the top 2. Him and Theon in the second for sure. But like, Jorah dying was sad. Like, he's been around since season 1. People I see all these people online who are like, no, main characters died. I'm like, but Jorah's been in the show since
Pretty
season
sure
1.
I'm sure Ian Glenn's been in the credits since season 1.
He's been in the credits since season 1. He's literally had storyline arcs where it's just been like him and Tyrion and stuff. And, you know, very important character to the show, like for Dany as well as the show itself. So
I guess it just depends on who you actually like and how much that is going to affect you.
I guess.
I'm sure there's people who love Jorah and people who love Theon who are devastated after this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, so he goes down and then Dany's kind of left fighting for herself for a hot second. Bran.
he gets back up.
Yeah.
He doesn't rest until
just before the stuff goes down.
No, just after. He dies after everything stops. So.
Oh, that's true. Bran in the room with Theon. Theon is the last person left alive as all these White Walkers start charging into that room.
He runs out of arrows.
He's run out of arrows at this point. We did see a quick scene of him start to fire arrows, but wasn't really that important. So he's run out of arrows at this point. Bran. Well, also, I reckon. I also like to point out that I reckon Theon would have a pretty high kill count because there are bodies all around him. And like he would have been going at it for a fair while.
He did a good job.
He did a fairly good fucking job. He proved that he knows how to fire them arrows. That's for one thing. So true champ. The Night King walks in. A bunch of the dead stop and like circle around, and Night King walks in.
Let him in. Yeah.
Bran comes out of his warging, and this was the tear jerking scene that actually worked because it doesn't have Bran being a fucking weirdo. Well, I say warging, but I did make sure to put my notes on whatever the fuck he's been doing because, like, was he really just in that crow the entire time?
I think he was. We'll get into it a bit later, but I feel like he was watching the events occur because that's his job. That
is his job. I understand, but I'm like, fucking hell, Bran, just pick up a small sword or something. Will you around the face front, mate? So then Theon turns to face him. And Bran says, "You're a good man, thank you." And the way Theon,
I feel like that was the actual Bran. I like to think anyway,
not the three-eyed raven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well delivered line. Also, like, I just love the way Alfie, like his face
Alfie
when the lines.
yeah.
Alfie, he's really good in this episode. His face as the lines being delivered to him, you can tell it's like Theon finally kind of getting what he wants, which is like he feels that he's forgiven by the people he fucked over the most, I guess, so
that single tear, man.
Yeah, that's single tear for everyone around the world as well. So that was true. That was quite sad, I thought. And then Theon, knowing that he's done for, just picks up his last weapon, which was a spear, I think. I wrote it down as a spear, and charges at the Night King. Night King obviously just swiftly stabs him and drops him onto the ground. And there goes Theon Greyjoy, first of his name, last of his kind. He drops to the ground dead. Night King slowly makes his very fucking slowly with the score building up and everything happening at this time. Night King makes his way over to Bran, stares at him. I guess he's kind of like taking it in, much like he did with the original Three-Eyed Raven. It was like, it wasn't very like it was, like, he doesn't like exactly charging, just go stab Bran, like, fuck yeah, let's leave. It's like, you can tell he's really taking it in, like, I finally got you, you little fucker.
He's got a flair for the dramatic. So.
He does definitely have a flair for dramatic. Look at all the undead and the ice spiky hair.
The
like
raise the arm move thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure he doesn't need to raise his arm to raise the
No, yeah, for sure. Just do it with his mind. And then we get see a brisk shot of the hair blowing of one of the Night King's lieutenants, which I thought was a nice addition to this whole sequence. And then as the Night King is reaching for his sword on his back, the first time he would actually draw on the fucking thing, I swear, Arya, like a true... This is... I like how this is my note as I wrote it down word for word because I just copy-pasted it over. Arya, like the true fucking champ she is, flying in off a trampoline, does a knife trick she did to Brienne last season and kills that icy cunt. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, the Night King caught her.
To be fair, yes. Now,
I've seen her in the chokehold, and then she pulls off the Ray move from Last Jedi.
Well, yeah, it is the Ray move, and I've seen people call that out, and it is, but also she did do this last season at least. Like it's not like
what she did is she just flicked it over to her other hand. That's what she did in that fight with Brienne.
Yeah, but it's still the same sort of like level of
it's
trickery.
Still cool.
Yeah, it's still the same level of knife trickery and stuff. I I definitely feel like that knife stuff was shown with Brienne in the last season to set up this shot.
Yeah, she got some dagger skills. Yeah,
They just showed that how skillful she is with the dagger and stuff. Yeah, for sure. I've seen now. Bring up this because I've seen people ask about it. People are complaining. Well, let's be real. People are complaining about her killing the Night King for many, many fucking reasons. Many, many fucking reasons. One of the things I've not seen too many people complain about, but a few have said that the Night King has previously been seen to like just touch things and kill them, touch things and switch them over to Night Walkers real fast. Blah 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 blah. Why doesn't Arya automatically change? In my mind, it's because he's literally
she's a girl.
no,
literally.
You
think all the children of the casters in like the first season that get sent out to the Night King, it's all the boys.
Yeah, it's true.
And then when she touches them, they get turned into White Walkers.
That could be very, very one plausible explanation. I mean, what I was thinking also I thought was just very simple, which is that he doesn't. It's not an automatic thing. Like, it's not a skin thing. It's literally the reason that it happens every other time we've seen it happen is because he's activating his magic powers. You know what I mean? Whereas he could, he just turned around a quarter. Fast. Yeah, like he hadn't done it yet. Like, he could have done it a second later or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's magic. He doesn't have to happen all the time, I guess. But yeah, the sending all the boys out is a good point to bring up for sure. People forget about all these things. Now, so
where are all the baby White Walkers?
Yeah, they
I'm sure they got a bunch of toddler ones. Are they still up at the wall, like in daycare?
Maybe they've been trained up. Game of Thrones season 10.
Well, I guess they're all dead now.
No.
Because
well, yeah, they're all dead now, so it doesn't even fucking matter. How did you feel? Let's hold on, we'll finish the episode first, I suppose. Might as well. We've only got a little bit in, and we'll get into it. Getting into her killing the Night King, but so after she stabs him, of course, his body shatters into a million and one little icy pieces.
All the lieutenant shatter.
All the lieutenant shatter. Oh, we get to see all the zombies start shattering. The dragon.
No, they just all collapse. So
they turn to water. The dragon bursts in front of John. Then we get to see all outside. They all start collapsing, and then
that was a very cool shot of like a really wide shot
of all of them,
and then just sort of the wave effect, I guess, being sent out, and then everybody, all of them, just walking and then falling over. Yep, pretty great.
I liked it. They'd have that one shot where it's like everything's on fire outside as well, and you're just like it's like the mess they've got to clean up before next week's episode. Oh, my goodness. That's the episode we don't get to see where they're cleaning up. I mean
they're just going to chuck them in the crypt and then seal the crypt.
I think we saw next week's trailer, they're going to burn all the bodies, which I suppose makes sense.
I guess.
So outside, Dany is Jorah goes down fighting in those final moments there, and then she crouches over his body crying, of course, upset. I like to believe he was like her first love, even if she doesn't actually realize it or know it, you know. Always buying he definitely loved her, so goes down fighting for the person he loved, which was kind of how he was always going to go out, I guess. Makes sense. Then as she begins crying, her dragon, whatever its goddamn name is, comes in and
which one? The one she was riding, or the one that crash landed? Who knows?
It was the one that she was riding.
The one who got all the things undead on it.
Undead on it. Yeah, but it's also for people wondering that, like, did that dragon die? No, in the trailer for next week's episode, you clearly see both dragons flying in the sky, so it survives. Yeah, okay. It must fly off into distance and shake them off,
set itself on fire
or whatever. Yeah, set itself on fire. Does whatever it's necessary. But one of those dragons comes in and begins. I took it as it pretty much giving her a cuddle, like, oh
yeah, pretty much.
Trying to. My master's upset, like. Yeah, puts its wings out over. So that was a sweet moment, I thought. And then we cut the last shot of the episode is it's seemingly like an hour, could be hours later, whatever it is. But Melisandre walks out. Literally, you can see the sun rising out off in the distance as the dawn comes. And she releases her necklace, drops it into the snow, and then walks off into the distance and dies of old age as Davos watches. And that's how the episode ends. I saw people be
turns
like,
to bones.
I can't believe how dumb. Like, I think that sounds mean, but like, I honestly can't believe how dumb for sometimes people are, or forget. And I understand like the seasons and lots of things happening, but when you're going to go on the internet and complain about something being a plot hole or something, you better make sure you're fucking right sometimes, because people are like, what did she die from? Blah blah blah. I'm like, old age, like, like, do you not like?
Yeah, she used the last of her energy or whatever.
The necklace was. We saw seasons ago, and the necklace was keeping her age intact or whatever, like presumably given to her by the Lord of Light or whatever. Who fucking cares, really?
Yeah.
But she takes it off. She ages up. She starts aging up, and then she crumbles and dies off in the distance.
She just dies of pneumonia really quickly.
Yeah.
It's freaking cold. She was wearing barely anything.
Yeah. Well, she took everything off, I think. So, right. A couple of things to break down, I suppose.
All right.
Let's start with the Night King. How do you feel about Arya being the one to kill the Night King?
I mean, it's cool. It sort of subverts expectations. I think everyone was building up this Jon versus the Night King thing. But, Jon is just... I think I saw someone tweet later, he has a history of, like, failure. Constantly having other people save him and win things for him. Specifically women, so...
Well,
I don't know.
Look, Mary Sue was trending on Twitter, which kind of tells you everything you need to know.
What?
Yeah, it was like the second, even today, it was like the second trending thing I saw on my Twitter. People accusing Arya of being a Mary Sue, which once and for all, as far as I'm concerned, and I've seen other people say similar things, once and for all kind of proves the point that people that throw around that term aren't really...
Don't know what it means.
Well, they're just sexist, right? Full stop. That's all it is. Because you cannot make a sane argument in the fucking world. I will not hear a sane argument that Arya couldn't do that. She literally spent seasons fucking training for this shit. Right?
Yeah.
And people are like, Mary Sue, are you fucking kidding me? Is the dumbest thing I've honestly seen in quite some time. And it literally just goes to show me that there are so many fucking baby ass nerds out there who just like, oh, the woman killed the bad guy, derp, derp, derp. Fuck off. Sick of it. Fucking outrageous. Why we can't have anything good? They literally have seasons of her training. Seasons, Ash.
She like leveled up real quick at the end.
Fucking hell. Seasons. They show her sneak in where motherfuckers' faces and stuff. They spend episodes showing how quietly and quickly she can move. She got trained. She fucking literally lost her eyesight. She fucking had to change her name. She went through so much shit to get to this stage, and people are like, she's a Mary Sue because she doesn't earn that. She couldn't do that. Bitch, she went through as much, if not more, than fucking Jon Snow has. Like, I know he died and came back, but really, same level. She was fucking blind.
Yeah. See, he was so useless that he died.
Yeah.
Had to be brought back.
If you want to talk I don't really get too much into this stuff because this is more booky stuff. And people, I think there's something to be said. Like, people often try and bring in stuff from the books to this because they think they're one for one, when you should definitely look at the show differently from the books, and don't bring in anything from the books that hasn't actually been said in the show. Right, is a general rule all the time. But for the whole Melisandre thing and all these sorts of things, Lord of Light, the prince that was promised. Last season, there was a line where Melisandre's talking to Dany about the Lord of Light and all these sorts of things. And then she talks about translation of the prophecy and stuff. And then Dany's like, well, it couldn't be me because I'm no prince. And then Melisandre says, well, actually, if you translate it from High there's no direct translation from High Valyrian or whatever it is. So it could actually mean prince or princesses. So they chucked that line into the show last season, right? Out of the blue. What did it mean? No one at that time was like, whatever. They randomly has a random line.
He's just sweet talking her.
Sweet talking, do it just once. But I think it's even more important now to bring up because, of course, she shows back up here to do, she disappears for the entire time. Obviously, the Lord of Light was like, you need to go to Winterfell. So she turns up at Winterfell. All these times, Beric, who of course goes through the same, he was like constantly brought back to life over and over and over again. And if you're going by the Lord of Light's like how the rules of this show and the religion, whatever works, it's that the Lord of Light, as we were saying before, only does anything if it's
For a reason.
For a reason. And he brought back Beric over and over and over. For what reason? To save Arya.
Help Arya get through.
To save Arya's life and to help her get through. Now, also, we like to believe that the Hound was also brought back by the Lord of Light. I don't think that was actually like a big old tick of confirmation ever, but I think it's very much like, I think so. Like,
I mean, you could reason it.
I swing on the side of yes on that one. Like, given everything that happens, and then he wakes up and he's, like saved and all these sorts of things. But either way, it doesn't really matter. My point being, if that's the case, then he was also brought back so the Hound could help Arya in that case. Melisandre was brought back to, in that moment, speak to Arya and send her to go do what's necessary to be done. Blah, 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 which would mean that the prophecy means that Arya is the princess that was promised. Is that important to the show? I highly fucking doubt it, because we only have 3 episodes left. And I think what George does with the books, where he has a lot more time to play with these prophecies and whatever else, is its own thing. But nonetheless, they have talked about it in the show. And of course, like Melisandre, we've had several characters be involved with the Lord of Light and stuff. So I thought it was somewhat worth mentioning that it seems that Arya is the king that was the prince that was promised, the king that was promised, or whatever, that she thought Stannis was, and then that she thought Jon was, and then that she thought fucking even Gendry was, or whatever, all these sorts of things, and it turns out to actually be Arya if we're putting all the pieces of that puzzle together. Yeah. Anything else that you want to go over, I guess, from this episode before we dive into, like,
I know. What do you think of the people complaining about Bran not doing anything?
I don't know what the fuck he's supposed to do. My only problem with Bran is that we have no, like, if he's literally just up there in crow form the entire, here you go, hit me with this. Why is he just up there in crow form the entire time? Like, what's he doing?
Like, I think he is like the Watchers in Marvel Universe, like the Monitor in the DC Universe. He watches and he's not supposed to get involved.
I don't think he's
That's his role in the universe. That's his role in the world.
I understand that he's supposed to watch, like Three-Eyed Raven. That's kind of what his job is, knowledge and whatever else. But I feel it's rude to sit there with headphones on, VR headset.
I mean, they could have put some spikes around him or something.
Could have done something. I just feel like it's rather. I'm not too fussed about it. It's weird. I don't understand what he's doing or what the purpose is. I don't see how Bran really plays into the rest of the season, full stop, after this point. Like, what his fucking use is, really. But
again, I think he's just going to watch. He's not going to do anything. Like, he'd be cool if he walked into a freaking
I thought he was going to walk into a dragon, but that doesn't happen, so I mean, it still could. Maybe, I don't know. Like,
he walks into some elephants and they come and tramples.
Cersei's like, you motherfucker.
Where did you get those?
Where did you get those? Okay, let's go now. I suppose one of the biggest problems I've seen that people have this episode overall is, of course, episode 3 out of 6 for the final season wraps up the war against the undead, and people thought that the war against the undead was the be-all, end-all, and going to be the final battle. And people are disappointed, angry, I guess. Like, where do you fall on the line of this story being wrapped up now and the rest of the season being about the war against Cersei, and or then the rest of the season really being about the throne?
I am happy to wait and see how it all pans out. I think we won't be able to judge it fairly until we've seen it all.
Yeah. Well, that's something. You can't really judge the whole season. It's funny because I legit thought last season that they were going to make the whole show about the war against the undead come to final season. I thought that's what they were going to do, because I thought that's the direction they were heading, and that's the way they were teasing it. Blah 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 blah. I was wrong, and I'm glad, because I much prefer the Game of Thrones that we're going to get now, which is the more political, human on human battles and stuff, because there's more to it. Because there's more emotion. There's more, like there's actual stuff. You can have banter back and forth. You can have these big emotional moments and fights and stuff like that. And yeah, it's like I've seen people write online things like, "Oh, but now that they've killed the big bad, like Cersei doesn't seem like such a threat at all, does she?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, have you not been paying attention?
It's a different sort of threat.
She's got a huge fuck off spear that she's built to take out the dragons that she's been talking about that we haven't seen, or we didn't see it all.
We did see.
We did briefly see. Okay. She's also got the remainder of that fucking Bernie stuff or whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of it. I'm mental blanking. Sorry. Wildfire stuff. That she's pretty much under the whole city, so she's ready to blow.
So she's got like a suicide plan.
Yeah, so she's ready to blow up the whole city rather than actually hand over the crown. So I think people are underestimating how fucked up shit could potentially get in the last 3 episodes in the final battle and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. To me, the Game of Thrones in general has always been like political drama first, fantasy series second. Like because the usual type of series this is fantasy stuff first, political stuff as a secondary stuff, and George R.R. Martin kind of swung it, I guess. And I remember reading an interview of him once where he was talking about like, because he talked about how obviously the series was influenced a lot by Lord of the Rings, obviously. And how he talks about how, Aragorn ends up as the king, but like, you never know, like he literally says in an interview, he's like, but what's his taxes policies? Like, what's his, like, like he talks about these sorts of things that no one really think about. And he said that, and it's like, oh, the way Lord of the Rings ends, it just wants you to believe, oh, and he'll be a just king forever and everything will be okay, happy days and stuff like that. But it's like, you never really get in depth into what kind of ruler someone is and will they really rule justly for the remainder of their time and all these sorts of things. So the way he's always talked about the series, it's always come across to me that in his mind the series is a political, I don't know if that's the right word to describe, it's just a word I always describe, but like a dramatical thriller, political thriller, whatever. It's been more about the characters than the fantastical elements of the show. And really people's complaints the last couple episodes, about this episode, has reminded me a lot about the end of Breaking Bad, where people were, because the last couple episodes of Breaking Bad or last season was a lot more action-packed, right? A lot more thriller-esque, action-packed sorts of stuff. And then when Better Call Saul starts, people are like, oh, it's so boring, so slow, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? Like, do you remember the first couple seasons of Breaking Bad? Like, it was all about the character pieces and the character moments and stuff. And Game of Thrones now, they're like, oh, the rest is going to be boring, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, do you remember the first couple seasons of the show? Like literally the first battle in the first season, Tyrion blanks out and we don't get to see it. The majority of the first couple seasons of the show is just characters talking back and forth. We don't see fucking dragons flying until X amount of seasons in where they're actually grown up and stuff. So for the most part, this series has been very grounded when it comes to a fantasy series. So yeah. Right. What do you think is going to happen now? Now, did you watch the teaser for next week's episode?
Yes, I did.
So basically you see a shot of Cersei on a boat, heading somewhere with Euron as well on the ship, as well as old zombie face behind her as well. You see Dany, presumably, and her ships, because there's a dragon flying above it, but it's not like trying to fight them, so presumably good ships. You see them burning the bodies. You see Arya kissing presumably Gendry again, deservedly, because she did kind of save everyone. I think that was roughly it. But for the most part, it seems that both Dany and Cersei are heading out by boats somewhere. So what do you think's happening for the rest of the season? Like where
I suspect, next episode will be them mourning the dead, sort of setting the pieces up for another big battle in episode 5. And then episode 6 will be wrapping everything up.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because fucking mental blanking on his name. The director of next week's episode is the same guy who directed the first and second episode, right? Same guy. Can't remember his name. I'm sorry. The director of the 5th episode is the director of this episode, Miguel Safoshik or whatever. So it's like, yeah, episode 5. So they've got literally the same guy directing all the drama episodes this season, and then the same guy directing the 2 huge battle episodes. And then the 3rd episode is being directed by David Benioff and D.B. Wise.
Yeah.
They're co-directing.
So David Nutter is directing next week's episode.
Thank you. So David Nutter did episode 1, 2, and he's going to be doing episode 4 next week as well. And then Miguel directed episodes 3 and 5, which are, of course, as we know, 3's battle episode, 5's now going to presumably be in a battle episode. And then Benioff and Wise directing the finale. I read an interview of them where they said they were doing it basically because they were being so anal, I guess, about like describing how everything should be, that they were just like, why aren't we actually just the ones directing it if we're going to be so touchy about how
obsessive
over the episode? Because they said they've known how it's going to end since like 2013 or something like that. They've been obsessing over this finale episode. So yeah, I think we're right. It's like next episode, bit of a drama episode, bit more of a setup, blah 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 blah. They're going to send people to wherever the final battle is going to be.
That's interesting because only Benioff has directed. Oh no, they've directed one episode each.
They've both co-directed all of them, but something about the guild or whatever, Hollywood Guild or whatever,
just for rules or whatever.
For rules, only one of them.
So 2 episodes.
Yeah, so only one of them could ever be credited or some weird shit like that. They've only done 2 prior to this. So I reckon next episode we see Cersei going somewhere. I presume they're going to the Iron Islands, and I presume that everyone's going to the Iron Islands. Full stop.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a skirmish, and then
I can see a bit of a skirmish, and then a retreat of some sorts, and then the final battle is going to take place closer to King's Landing.
The other thing is that what this episode has done is diminished the Dany Jon.
They've got fuck all left. Yeah,
they've got they've got like the name people. Yeah, and that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, so that's why they have to get over to the Iron Islands.
Yeah, and
seek help there. You know, like that's the only ally they've really got left. I could see the other thing I could see happening, and people might be like, "Oh, that's silly. It doesn't make sense." But there's probability of maybe they try and rally more people to their cause that weren't on board before, by being like, "Look, killed undead. Like, whose side do you want to be on?" You know, kind of. Who's your true crane type thing. I suppose next week's episode is also going to be a little bit more of the back and forth, like Dany and Jon between.
Yeah,
what's going to happen there exactly? Yeah, and how that's going to roll. But yeah, I don't know. It's all things up in the air at this stage, I guess. Really, we don't really know what much is happening. But I would presume they're all going to the Iron Islands or something like that. Because where the fuck else are they going to go by boats in the amount of time they've got allocated and stuff? We'll have to see. Any final thoughts on this before we wrap up this episode?
No, Arya did a good job.
Good job, Arya. I'm very happy.
Where'd you get that trampoline though?
Don't. I mean, she's fucking jumped fast. It's also the other funny thing is I was trying to find. I had a shirt years and years ago from like season 3. I brought it and I couldn't find it. But off like T Fury or something, I brought this shirt that was like a little cartoon Arya that had like the list of all the names and stuff like that. I was like, fuck, I haven't worn that shirt for years. I wonder if I could fight to wear for this episode because it'd be fitting, of course. But then when I was thinking about the list, it's like I saw someone point out online somewhere that was like most of the people who are on the list are actually the people who end up helping her.
That's true. 2 of them.
Yeah. So
and Melisandre, I guess she was on the list as well.
Yeah, it's like a funny little point to
coincidence.
Yeah, funny little thing.
We're going to talk about our predictions.
I mean, I was going to save it, but so far the only thing that we've got wrong predictions wise is
Melisandre.
Why
did we think she was going to live? In hindsight,
I remember saying
she predicted her own depth at Winterfell.
Yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, that
wasn't smart.
You and I are back to back for all the right.
Well,
plus
technically,
all the wrong.
We've also got another 4 wrong. We've got 2 each wrong because I don't think anybody else is turning into White Walkers now.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can go. Well, hold on. I didn't mark those red in case some weird shit happens. Like it would be it would be very easy for me to go through and give us big old nose for all the White Walker stuff we marked. But I was like, the season is not done. And I know the Night King's dead, but for all I know, like
you don't know.
I don't know what's going to happen.
You predicted You said time travel mightn't be involved at the start of the season, so
who knows what Bran could still turn into White Walker? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Anyway, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of South of King's Landing. You can, of course, watch the video version of this show so you can see how lovely faces over at youtube.com/Explosion Network, where you should subscribe, like the video, and ring the bell to make sure you don't miss an episode or whatever you do. Or if you'd rather just listen to the show, you can find it available on all podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just search for South of King's Landing. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, Vivaladil. You can follow Ashley on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow this Explosion Network on Twitter on at Explosion Pod. And thank you. Until next week. Remember, the North remembers. Boy.